Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around unmarked package left on her Auckland doorstep. No note, no sender. Just a single paintbrush rolling inside when she shook it. Fam would have called it random, but retirement had left her days emptier than a dropped Kauai bloom. Art fairs once thrilled her. Now they just reminded her of what wasn't. Still, that brush felt like a dare. So she dipped it in leftover house paint, smeared a wobbly sunrise on scrap wood and laughed mess. By weeks, Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around unmarked package left on her doorstep. Inside, a single paintbrush, wooden handle worn smooth by decades of use. She hadn't held one since Auckland's art fairs in her 30s, back when she'd traded bold strokes for boardroom suits. Now retirement yawned before her like an empty canvas, terrifying in its blankness. What if she'd become one of those faceless shufflers in beige cardigans, waiting for life to pencil her in? First attempts were clumsy, watercolor bled outside lines, her wrists stiff as a Kauai branch in winter. But each morning, she returned to that sunlit corner of her Ponsonby cottage, chasing colors like a 2A after nectar. Neighbors chuckled when she accidentally smeared cerulean on her forehead, but soon they lingered by her gate, drawn by vibrant florals blooming across her easel. Then came flyer for Gray Lynn's community art show, fluttering against her fence like a dare. Submitting a piece felt riskier than skydiving. What if her work was met with polite nods, kind reserved for great aunt's fruitcake? But that brush, her old silent fam, whispered otherwise. Opening night, Helen stood barefoot on grass still damp from afternoon rain, surrounded by strangers pointing her painting. A whirl of Pohutukua red and harbor blues titled Second Spring. Someone murmured, "That's ex-CEO, yeah?" But all she heard was rustle of tags being lifted from her artwork. Not bad for a woman who'd once feared irrelevance more than spiders in Lou. Auckland's breeze carried salt and possibility as she packed up unsold pieces. Not failures, just stories waiting for right walls. Her knees creaked bending down, but her laugh. Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around unmarked package, its mystery tugging curiosity long buried under spreadsheets and grocery lists. Inside lay a single paintbrush, its bristles stiff with disuse, a relic from a half-forgotten hobby abandoned decades ago. Laughter bubbled up. Had some cosmic jester sent this? Yet as she rolled wooden handle between palms, something dormant stirred. Auckland's autumn light slanted through her kitchen window, gilding countertops cluttered with retirement pamphlets and unopened gym memberships. That brush became an anchor. Next morning, she marched into a community center's art therapy class, clutching it like a lifeline. First attempts were comical. Watercolors bled into muddy puddles. Her still life of a kiwi fruit resembled a deflated balloon. But instructor Rungi, a silver-haired Maori artist with forearms inked in swirling karu patterns, didn't scoff. "Start with stories, not shapes," he murmured, nudging her to paint memories instead of objects. Helen's strokes grew bolder. She daubed childhood Christmases in Queenstown, her daughter's first steps on Piha Beach, even that disastrous office potluck where Pavlova met carpet. Each canvas became a time machine. Weekly sessions turned into coffee-fueled marathons with her new fam. A ex-teacher who sculpted with driftwood, a former nurse weaving flax into stars. Their shared laughter over botched brushwork was medicine. Then came flyer for Gray Lynn Art Fair. "Enter," Ringy said, as if it were that simple. Panic fizzed in her chest. Who'd care about a retiree's amateur daubs? But her crew wouldn't take no. They helped her mount pieces on recycled cowrie frames, naming collection second drafts. Opening night, Helen hovered near her display, pulse rabbiting as strangers paused. A woman in a denim jacket wiped tears tracing a painting of empty chairs, a family table. Helen's ode to lost friends. "You made me remember," stranger whispered. In that moment, brush ceased being just a tool. It was a bridge between then and now, solitude and communion. By evening's end, 3 pieces had sold, not that it mattered. What stuck was sticky note left beside her guest book. "Your art feels like a hug." Walking home under Southern Cross stars, Helen grinned. Retirement wasn't an epilogue. It was a fresh canvas waiting. Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around unmarked package left on doorstep. Inside lay paintbrush, sleek as promise, bristles still stiff with potential. She snorted. Retirement gift from well-meaning fam? Joke was on them. Last thing she needed was another hobby collecting dust next to crossword books. But brush felt oddly familiar in her palm, like rediscovering forgotten language. Auckland's winter light slanted through curtains as she dabbed cobalt onto scrap paper. First strokes were clumsy, all elbows in doubt. Paint bled outside lines, mocking her. Creator scowled. Used to running boardrooms, not battling watercolors. Yet something nagged. Brush wasn't just tool, it was dare. Next morning, she bulldozed into art supply store, bought cheapest canvas and stubbornly smeared vermilion across it. Looked like toddler's tantrum. She laughed, throat scratchy. Progress. Community center flyer caught her eye. Emerging artist show. No age limit. Bold letters blurred as she gripped counter. Who was she kidding? But brush sat heavy in bag, bristles prickling her resolve. Woman began sneaking into garage dawn, attacking canvases with quiet fury. Landscapes morphed into abstract storms, then softened into harbor waves, Auckland's skyline emerging like memory. Mistakes stayed. She worked over them, layers building resilience. Show night arrived. Helen's knees threatened mutiny as strangers lingered near her piece. One woman tilted head murmured, "Feels like waiting for tide to turn." Heat prickled behind Helen's ribs. Brush had been fight all along, against invisibility, against rust. Later, sipping terrible punch, she overheard organizer. "That one's got second act energy." She smirked into cup. "Damn right." Walking home, she clutched brush like lifeline. City lights wobbled in rain puddles, fractured but shining. Art fairs wouldn't pay bills, but they'd stitched her back into world's fabric. Helen grinned darkened windows. Retirement wasn't epilogue, it was mixed media. And she, just getting started. Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around unmarked package left on her doorstep. Inside lay a single paintbrush, sable bristles, cherrywood handle, weight perfect in her palm. A relic from her teaching days, buried decades ago under spreadsheets and staff meetings. That afternoon, she stood before a blank canvas in a sunlit community center, heart pounding like she was 20 again. First strokes were clumsy. Sky blue bled into grass green. Her sunset looked like a melted lollipop. A snicker came from back. Marge, knitting club queen, who'd scoffed, "Aren't we a bit old for finger paints?" Helen's jaw set. She mixed burnt umber with defiance. Weeks passed. Brushes danced. She traded spreadsheets for sponging techniques, staff meetings for graffito. One evening, hunched over a half-finished seascape, she smeared cobalt with her thumb, then froze. Waves suddenly had motion depth. A creative grenade detonated in her chest. This is my start. Auckland's annual art in Park Fair loomed. Helen entered on a whim, hung her piece between twee watercolors and neon abstracts. Opening day, a tourist's phone flashed. Her seascape caught mid-breeze, light hitting textured waves just so. By noon, shot had 50K likes. By dusk, a gallery owner stood slack-jawed before her work. "You've never exhibited before?" Marge's knitting needles clattered to floor. Crowd buzzed. Helen, paint splattered and grinning, lifted that cherrywood brush like Excalibur. "Fam, retirement just got a glow-up." Helen's 65-year-old fingers trembled around that unmarked package, until a paintbrush tumbled into her palm. Its weight felt foreign, yet familiar, like rediscovering a childhood nickname. Auckland's autumn light slanted through her kitchen window, gilding bristles. Why not? She swiped cerulean across a scrap of paper. Then crimson. Then gold. Each stroke unspooled memories. Sunday markets with her late mum. Laughing over lumpy pottery. Teaching grandkids to mix Play-Doh colors until everything turned murky brown. Art became her silent confidant. Her rebellion against useless retiree stereotypes. Soon, her garage morphed into a riot of half-finished canvases. Her odd habit of humming ABBA, while splattering abstract waves earning side-eyes from her tabby cat. But Helen's real breakthrough came when she dragged her easel to a local art fair. A teen in a frayed beanie paused her seascape. "This," they said, "feels like summer storms." Helen's chest tightened. She wasn't just painting, she was connecting. Months later, she rallied her knitting group, her book club, even that grumpy neighbor who only grew zucchini, to transform community center into a pop-up gallery. Building fam through creativity, she called it. grinning as octogenarians dabbed watercolors and teens spray-painted murals of native birds. Opening night buzzed with sticky-fingered toddlers, millennials sipping kombucha, and Helen, now wielding her paintbrush like a conductor's baton, guiding shy newcomers to their first brushstrokes. That once unsteady hand now signed her vibrant works with a flourish. Retirement hadn't erased her identity. It had remixed it, brighter and messier than ever. Grab your brush, paint your next chapter bold.